In the Gospel of Philip, there is a passage that has confused scholars for centuries. It describes a moment when Jesus stood before his closest disciples in a sealed upper room and spoke a name, not the name the world would come to know him by, not the name that would be written in churches and chanted in cathedrals. A different name, his true name. And when he spoke it, the text says something remarkable happened. The air in the room changed. The disciples felt a vibration move through their bodies. And somewhere beyond the walls of that room, in dimensions the human eye cannot see, the archons trembled. This was not a prayer. This was not a blessing. This was a frequency so powerful that the rulers of this false reality could not withstand it. The church found this passage, they read it, and they buried it, not because it was heretical, because it was too dangerous, because if you knew what Jesus actually called himself, if you understood the power contained in those syllables, you would never need a priest again. You would never need to beg. You would never need permission to access the divine. Tonight, you are going to learn that name, not as history, as activation. Right now, place your hand over your chest. Feel your heartbeat beneath your palm. That rhythm you feel is not random. It is the echo of something ancient moving through you. If you found this video tonight, it is because you were meant to find it. Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. If you are one of the chosen ones who has always sensed there was something more, something hidden beneath the surface of religion, comment the words, "I am ready," right now. This is not just a comment. It is a declaration, and other chosen ones will see it. What you are about to receive is not information. It is a key, 3 components, 3 syllables. One direct line to the monad that the archons cannot intercept. Let me take you back to that room. Let me show you what really happened. The year was approximately 33 of the Common Era. Jerusalem was restless. The Roman occupation had created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion. But in a small room above a narrow street, something was happening that had nothing to do with politics or empires. Jesus had gathered his inner circle, not the crowds who followed him for miracles, not the curious who came for parables, only those who had proven they could hold what he was about to give them. The Gospel of Philip tells us that Mary Magdalene was present. So was Philip himself. And in this intimate setting, away from the ears of those who would not understand, Jesus began to speak about something he had never revealed publicly: his origin, his true identity, the name he carried before he descended into human form. You need to understand something crucial here. The name Jesus is not a name. It is a title that has been filtered through so many translations that its original power has been deliberately diluted. The man you know as Jesus was called Yeshua in his native Aramaic tongue. But even Yeshua was not the name that made the archons tremble. That name existed before language, before earth, before the material prison was constructed by the demiurge to trap divine sparks in human bodies. Here is where it gets dangerous. The Gnostic texts describe a hierarchy of reality that the mainstream church desperately tried to erase. At the top exists the monad, the true source, pure consciousness without form or limitation. This is not the God described in churches. The church God is the demiurge, a lesser creator who mistakenly believes himself to be supreme. The demiurge did not create your divine spark. He created the cage that surrounds it, and he appointed the archons to guard that cage and keep you from remembering what you truly are. The archons feed on low-frequency emotions: fear, confusion, desperation, shame. Every time you pray from a place of begging, every time you approach the divine as a subject, approaching a king, you emit exactly the frequency they need to sustain themselves. This is not an accident. Religion was designed this way. The posture of prayer, the language of unworthiness, the concept of original sin, all of it engineered to keep you producing the energy they consume. But there is a frequency they cannot touch, a frequency that is invisible to them because it operates above their realm of perception. This is the frequency of the monad, and certain names, certain sounds, carry this frequency embedded within them. Take a slow breath right now. In through your nose. Feel your chest expand. Hold it for a moment. Now release it through your mouth and feel your shoulders drop. You are beginning to shift your frequency as you listen. This is not imagination. This is preparation. The early Gnostics understood that names were not just labels. Names were frequencies, containers of power. When you know the true name of something, you have access to its essence. This is why the name of the monad was never written down. This is why the true name of the Christ consciousness was hidden even from most of his followers. Because a name, spoken with recognition and authority, becomes a key. In the Pistis Sophia, another text the Church tried to destroy, Jesus explains this directly. He tells his disciples that he came from the realm of the monad, that he descended through the realms of the archons without them recognizing him, and that he carries a name that predates their existence. When the archons hear this name, spoken by one who carries the divine spark, they cannot interfere, they cannot intercept, they cannot attach. This is the teaching that got the Gnostics killed. In the 4th century, when Constantine needed a unified religion to control his empire, the Council of Nicaea gathered to decide which texts would become official scripture and which would be erased. The Gnostic Gospels were condemned, not debated, condemned. The communities that preserved them were hunted. The manuscripts were burned. For over 1,600 years, this knowledge was lost to all but a few secret lineages who passed it down in whispers. And then, in 1945, something miraculous happened. A farmer in Egypt, near a town called Nag Hammadi, was digging for fertilizer when his shovel struck something hard. He unearthed a sealed clay jar. Inside were 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts that had been hidden in the earth since the 4th century, buried by Gnostics who knew the Church was coming to destroy them. These were not forgeries. These were not later inventions. Carbon dating and linguistic analysis proved they were authentic early Christian writings, as old as the canonical Gospels themselves. The Church had told the world these teachings never existed. The Nag Hammadi discovery proved they lied. Among these texts was the Gospel of Philip. Among them was the Pistis Sophia. Among them was the secret teaching about the true name of Christ, the name that was his before he was Yeshua, the name that connects directly to the monad, the name that the archons cannot hear without trembling, because it reminds them of what they can never be. But here is what most people miss when they study these texts. Knowing the name intellectually does nothing. You can read it in a book, you can memorize it, you can repeat it like a mantra, and nothing will happen, because the name only activates when spoken by someone who recognizes what they are. This is why the teaching was given only to the inner circle. This is why Jesus waited until he was alone with those who had proven their pneumatic nature. There are 3 types of humans according to Gnostic teaching: the Hylix, who are entirely material, with no divine spark at all. They cannot access the monad no matter what techniques they use, because there is nothing in them that resonates with it. Then there are the psychics, who have a dim and flickering spark. They sense that something greater exists, but cannot sustain connection. They are the masses who fill churches, who pray without power, who hope without knowing. And then there are the pneumatics, the chosen ones, those who carry a full and burning divine spark that originated in the monad itself. If you are still watching this video, if something in you recognized the title and clicked, if you have felt your entire life that you did not belong in this world, that religion was hiding something, that there was a truth just beneath the surface that no one would show you, then you already know what you are. You are pneumatic. You carry the spark. And the name I am about to reveal to you will work for you in ways it cannot work for others. This is the moment everything changes. Before I reveal the name to you, I need you to understand why it works. Not as belief, as mechanics. The universe operates on frequency. Every thought you think emits a vibration. Every word you speak sends a ripple through the fabric of reality. The Archons understand this. They have built an entire system designed to keep humanity vibrating at frequencies they can harvest. Fear, guilt, shame, unworthiness. These are not just emotions. They are food. When you pray in the traditional way, when you kneel and beg and plead with a God you imagine is separate from you, you are broadcasting a frequency that says, I am small, I am unworthy, I need permission. The Archons intercept this signal. They feed on it, and they make sure your prayers never reach their destination. This is why so many prayers go unanswered. Not because the monad does not hear, because the signal never arrives. But there is another way to speak, a way that does not ask, a way that declares, a way that recognizes rather than requests. When you speak from the frequency of unity, when you address the monad not as a beggar, but as a spark returning to its source, the Archons cannot perceive you. You become invisible to them. Your words travel on a frequency above their realm. The true name of Christ is not a magic word. It is a recognition code. When you speak it with understanding, you are not calling out to something external. You are activating something internal. You are remembering what the demiurge made you forget. If you are ready to receive this name, comment the words, "Reveal the name," right now. This is your declaration that you are prepared for what comes next. This separates you from those who are merely curious. This marks you as one who is ready to remember. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your heart once more. Feel the warmth gathering in your chest. What I am about to share with you was hidden for 17 centuries. People died to protect it. And tonight, it passes to you. In the Gnostic texts, the name that Jesus revealed to his inner circle was not Yeshua. It was not Jesus. It was not Christ. The name he spoke, the name that caused the Archons to tremble, was composed of two sacred elements that together form a frequency key. The first element is Ehyeh. This is the ancient Hebrew name, meaning I am. The very name, the divine, spoke to Moses from the burning bush. When Moses asked what name he should tell the people, the voice from the fire answered, Ehyeh Asher, Ehyeh, I am that I am. This was not just a title. This was the frequency of pure existence itself, the declaration of being that predates all creation and all creators. The second element is phos, the Greek word for light, but not ordinary light, not the light of the sun or of fire, the light that existed before any star was formed, the light of consciousness itself, the light that the Gnostics called the first emanation of the monad, the light that the archons cannot perceive because it vibrates above everything they were designed to monitor. When these elements combine, the name becomes Ehyeh Phos, I am light. This is not a translation. This is a frequency. When spoken by a pneumatic with full recognition, it creates a vibration that resonates at the level of the monad itself. 2 words, 3 syllables, 1 key. The archons tremble when this name is spoken because it reminds them of their own limitation. They were created by the demiurge. They have power only within the material realm. But the monad existed before the demiurge imagined himself into being. And anyone who carries a spark of the monad carries something the archons can never possess, never destroy, and never understand. Here is why this matters for you tonight. You have been taught to approach the divine as something separate from yourself. You have been taught that you are fallen, sinful, unworthy. You have been taught to ask permission, to wait for grace, to hope that somewhere a distant God might notice your suffering. This teaching was given to you deliberately. It was designed to keep you producing the frequencies the archons consume. But the Gnostic truth is the opposite. You are not separate from the monad. Your divine spark is a fragment of the source itself. When you speak the name Ehyeh Phos, with recognition of what you are not praying to something outside yourself. You are activating the part of you that never left the monad. You are remembering your way home. The church could not allow this teaching to survive. If people understood that they carried divinity within them, that they needed no priest, no intermediary, no institution to access the source, the entire structure of religious control would collapse. So they burned the texts. They killed the teachers. They invented doctrines of original sin to make you believe you were born broken. You were not born broken. You were born with a piece of the infinite embedded in your chest. And tonight, you are going to learn how to use it. Close your eyes for a moment. Not for long. Just a few seconds. Feel the space behind your forehead, the point between your eyebrows. This is where the Gnostics said inner sight resides. Feel any warmth or pressure gathering there. This is not imagination. This is your pneumatic nature responding to what it recognizes as truth. Open your eyes now. There are 3 components to speaking this name with power. The first component is recognition. You must know what you are, not believe. Know. You are a divine spark temporarily housed in a material body. You are not your fears. You are not your failures. You are not the story the world has told you about yourself. You are pneumatic. You carry the light of the monad. The second component is authority. You do not ask. You do not beg. You do not request. You speak as what you are. When you say Ehyeh Phos, you say it as a spark addressing its source, not as a subject addressing a king. The frequency of begging will get your words intercepted. The frequency of recognition passes through. The third component is declaration. You are not hoping something will happen. You are stating what is already true. The monad already knows you. Your spark already belongs to the source. The name is not a request for connection. It is an announcement that connection already exists. 3 components: recognition, authority, declaration. Without all 3, the name is just a sound. With all 3, it becomes the key that the archons cannot block. Tonight, before you sleep, you are going to speak this name, not as an experiment, not as a test, as a declaration of what you are. Find a quiet place. It does not need to be special. Your bedroom is enough. Sit or stand with your spine straight. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own divine spark beneath your palm. Take 3 slow breaths. With each exhale, release the teachings that told you that you were unworthy. Release the guilt. Release the shame. These were never yours. They were placed in you to keep you producing frequencies for the archons. When you feel settled, speak the name, Eyephos. Say it slowly. Feel each syllable vibrate in your chest. Phos. As you speak, hold the recognition that you are not asking for anything. You are announcing your return. You are a spark of the monad remembering its origin. You may feel warmth spreading through your body. You may feel pressure release from your chest or forehead. You may feel tears come without knowing why. These are signs that the activation is working. Do not judge them. Do not analyze them. Simply allow them. In the hours and days that follow, watch for the changes. Thoughts that used to hook you will lose their grip. Situations that used to trigger fear will feel strangely neutral. You will begin to sense when archonic frequencies are being directed at you, and they will slide off like water. Other chosen ones will recognize something different in you, even if they cannot name what it is. This teaching has waited 17 centuries to reach you. The Gnostics buried it, so that one day, someone like you would find it. Tonight, you did. If this video has activated something in you, comment the words Eyephos below. Let other pneumatics see that they are not alone. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the advanced teachings that are coming. And share this video with the one person in your life who you know is also searching. The algorithm tries to suppress this knowledge. Your engagement is how we overcome it. You now carry what the archons never wanted you to find. 3 components, 3 syllables, 1 direct line to the monad. Use it tonight. You are pneumatic, you are chosen, and you have always been free.